Right, move on to item 13, regulated social housing update, which again I'll, same as previous months, propose and Councillor Carter will second. I'll do a bit and you do a bit. A few things on this. Councillor Edwards, following your questions and feedback last month, I hope you will see some, well, you know, things we had in train but pulled out in the report to make that very clear. I think, you know, some of it is contained in the report, but some we obviously have met with the regulator since and received very positive feedback from the regulator on report to Cabinet and the detail that's being given, and we'll continue that certainly constructive engagement with the regulator across the board. The actions are coming down significantly. There's a lot set out in the report about what we're doing on data and assurance and compliance across the board. Looking back to the Building Harlow's future plan in terms of that mission, you will also see a separate outcome about compliance and our compliance with social housing regulation in the round, not just on fire safety, but on a number of other things, other changes that are coming forward like AWAB's law and the like, and you will see as we move into September, reporting on this will shift not just to look so much at fire safety, but actually about compliance in the round and Cabinet's assurance of that. So again, certainly some significant progress that's been made. The team are working absolutely around the clock. There's some really positive things as set out in the report, some really positive milestones that we've hit in terms of smoke heads and all sorts of other things, but also I think it's very clearly set out the mitigations that we are putting in place to ensure that as a landlord we are absolutely assured of the safety of our tenants. Anything you want to add?
No, not yet.
Okay. Any questions? Councillor Durkin.
In section 12, which is page 52, are we satisfied that 10% of tenants' homes don't have heat, smoke or carbon monoxide sensors? We are celebrating that 90% do, which is great, but it means that 10% are at risk. And I was just wondering, what are we trying to do to get to the golden 100?
Yeah, there are a number of things that we're doing, but I don't know if Alan, if you want to detail that.
Yeah, that's a very good question. The reason we have set that at 90% is that's the evidence that we've got. We actually believe we're much higher than that, but we don't have the data records to evidence that. So we believe we're much closer to 100%, and that would be a combination of having sort of battery smoke alarms and other things, possibly not hardwired, but we are in the process of putting the ACO system across all of our stock and rolling that out, which then that does give us an automated alarm should there be an issue with heat or smoke, and we can pick it up that way. But we believe we're actually higher than 90%, but we can only evidence 90% currently.
Can I just come back then? But if we're putting this gateway system in, but the people don't have a smoke alarm or a heat or a carbon monoxide, it's not going to report anything, is it?
It's a completely different system. It's a new system in its own right, the ACO system.
So we don't actually need alarms if we've got this central system. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the alarm works with the system. Yeah, they work together. Yeah. Any further questions? Councillor Edwards.
Firstly, can I thank you for the layout of this information? I think it's very helpful, so thank you to the officers. Secondly, paragraph 10 says there are 104 high-risk actions that have been overdue for more than 12 months. And then whilst I appreciate that paragraph 11 says there are some mitigating factors in place, having said that, are we clear that we've got actions in place to address these high risk, these 104 high risk within a relatively short space of time? So it says a high risk for been overdue for months, and over a third of these relate to fire doors.
Yes, so we do have actions in place that will deal with those risks. A lot of those are things like fire doors that need to be checked. It's not a case of not having fire doors, we just need to evidence the documentation. So we do have a plan in place. We're confident that those high risk actions will start to fall at some pace now.
Can I ask what you mean by at some pace? 2 months?
Well, high-risk actions are falling every day, and you will have seen a dramatic fall across the board. If as you've just been told, all of those actions are allocated, and I think what you will see is that the next time this is reported to Cabinet, I would expect that to be much lower. As you've just been told, just to be absolutely clear, some of those actions, or a great deal of those actions, in fact, are not, and back to Councillor Durkin's question, not about not having the fire door in place or whatever it may be, but we are also required to check those fire doors. But it's not just about carrying out the action, it's about evidencing that we've carried out the action, having the data to back that up. I don't know if you want to add anything on.
Seem to me to be unreasonable to be saying if we've got actions that are out, that are overdue for over a year, it's not unreasonable to say, when will those actions be? I mean, okay, you put mitigating things in place, but there are still actions that need to be done. So it's not unreasonable to say, will the ones that are over a year be likely to be dealt with within the next month, 2 months, or whatever? Come back with a yes or no.
So the current plan is that we're working on that. We will have a view about how long it will take to close those actions out, which is part of the consumer plan that we're working with the regulator on. So until we've finalised that with the regulator, we will have a view, but it will be an indicative view. The other point to make is we will always have outstanding actions. What we do want to see is the overdue actions reduce and actions get dealt with in a more timely way.
Currently, you can't tell me when those, the timescale for when those 104 high-risk actions that have been up over a year, you cannot tell me when they are going to be properly addressed. When you have the evidence to say that, you can't tell me at the moment. All you can say is we're working on it.
No, I think you've misinterpreted what's been said. Part of this is reliant, I'm more than happy to write to you with full detail, but part of this is reliant on the Consumer Standards Improvement Plan, as the report references, which we're working on the regulator on. We can't set that ourselves, that has to be agreed with the regulator. So the question is, when there are outstanding actions, are we effectively mitigating them, which again is what the report sets out. Have we seen a dramatic fall already? Yes. Are we confident that we will address those? Yes. But in terms of those 104 that you reference, I'll write to you with full detail on them. Any further questions? Councillor Morrison.
Nice, easy question. On page 57, we're told, and these are the words, damp and mould policy to be drafted and existing asbestos policy to be reviewed and revised. The next column then tells us low risk as policies already exist. So that's page 57, Alan. So we must have a policy on damp and mould. Of course we do, surely. It's a simple matter of reviewing and possibly revising that.
Yeah, exactly that, and it sets out clearly how that will be done. It does, it sets out the time frame as well, and it sets the process for doing that. Well, part of the thing you need to recall on damp and mould is the change in legislation that comes into force in October. So it will be quite different to the way that we currently deal with it. So the question you asked is, do we have those policies already? Yes. Are we updating them as it says? Yes. Is there a time frame about when we're going to do that by? Yes. Is there a process there? Yes. So I don't understand what, other than that, we need to answer.
Okay, I'll explain. The wording is damp and mould policy to be drafted. But in reality, we already have, as the next column hints, we already have that. Of course, the council already has such a policy, and it is, I'm sorry to repeat this, it's a simple matter of reviewing and possibly revising.
Correct. Any further questions? No? Any comments? No? Okay. Anything you want to add? No, in which case, like I said, you know, we are working around the clock to address a number of these things, not just on fire safety, but compliance across the board, and ensure that we are absolutely assured as a landlord. And I think the engagement with the regulator demonstrates just how much is ongoing. So again, a huge thanks to everyone who is working on that and making great progress. So with that, are the recommendations approved? Approved. Very good.